Hello, I'm Meghann Scully and welcome to Re-Energize, a show that looks at sustainability in all its forms and what we can do to shape a clean energy future. On this episode, we are taking a look around at all the things we own. Things in our home that, if we're honest, we probably don't need. Clutter and unwanted gifts and things that social media convinced us to buy, and so much more. I'm here with producer Connor.
Hi, Meghann.
And we had two great guests on this episode to help us sift through all the clutter. Paul Lawford has a fascinating story and is offering what he calls a radical, sustainable and affordable alternative to traditional housing. Aidan Gately is a declutter expert and KonMari consultant.
So this episode was really interesting, wasn't it? I loved Paul's story. His radical, sustainable and affordable alternative is building his own tiny home with absolutely no previous experience. It was crazy, wasn't it?
Phenomenal. I'm just thinking, his tiny home is actually smaller than this studio.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it?
Would it be for you? Would you live in a tiny home?
Do you know what? I have a bedroom and then I have a room that has all the clothes and shoes and bags and kind of like, I wouldn't say a dump room, but a storage room. So given the rooms that I use for even just my clothes alone, I mean, that's a house. So no, I can't.
It's a really, really interesting idea. Even if you don't live in one yourself, it really makes you think about the space you do live in and the things that you own, doesn't it?
I'd love a challenge. Like, I'd love to give it a go. Just say for like 1 month, move into a tiny home and see how do I get on.
Yeah, I like the idea of, because it's so small, every single item has to be curated, which is then kind of what Aidan was talking about as well. It's like you're looking at things and saying like, do I really need all of these?
Well, I've already kind of started to, I suppose, adapt some of Aidan's tips and tricks into my life. So there's a little thing, like he said, if you leave a box at the back door and you can start adding things to it. Like, for example, one of the big issues I seem to have is like charging cables and like even like European adapters for going abroad. Do I need 5 of them?
Definitely.
Probably not.
Well, will we have a listen to Paul's story first?
Yeah, I think it's so inspiring. Paul, it's great to chat to you. Tell us all about Small Change.
Thanks very much for having me, Meghann. So yeah, my name is Paul and I run a company called Small Change. Basically, in 2020, I was looking for a place to live, living and working in Dublin, and I didn't really like the look of the housing that was on offer in Dublin. So I did something a little bit mad and I quit my job. I sold all of my stuff and I built a tiny house on wheels. And I did that with no previous construction experience, hoping it would work out. Thankfully for me, it did work out. And I've been living in that house since, really, for the last 3 years or 4 years even.
How did you build it in the end? You said you had no construction experience. So that must have been daunting, or were you excited for the challenge?
It was all done on a wing and a prayer, really. Yeah, it was really daunting, but I was more excited than I was worried, which quickly changed to being more worried than I was excited. But yeah, look, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't impossible either. And I'm really glad I did it. But yeah, basically, I just did what most people my age do and I Googled it. I suppose now they chat GPT it. But yeah, I Googled loads of stuff about tiny houses between YouTube, stuff online and the odd few books as well. I kind of got the basics of it together. Like, the great thing about a tiny house is that it's just so simple that it's very forgiving for an amateur to try to build one. Yeah, lucky for me, it's worked out. Hasn't fallen down yet, and we've had some serious storms the last while. Yeah. So yeah, it stood the test of time for a couple of years anyway. When
did you realise that this actually could be a business venture?
I mean, it was always on my mind. It wasn't why I set out to do it in the first place. But I think, to be honest, it was more people contacting me after I'd done it, because I was kind of in mine. And I kind of had to live in mine for a while before I started preaching about it, because it would have been a bit much to be, in the thing 10 minutes and then shouting from the rooftops that everybody else should do this, which I still don't do. I don't think it's for everyone, but I think if it's something that somebody thinks they might like, then it's certainly worth exploring. But a few friends approached me who'd seen what I'd done and said that they might like to do that as well. So I ended up running this kind of unofficial course for a handful of people where we built a cabin, myself and a carpenter friend, with 4 students or 5 students even. We kind of built a cabin, like a very simple tiny house structure over the course of a week. And I worked with one of those students to kind of teach them how to draw it, how to plan it, all that kind of stuff. And they came to me afterwards and they're kind of, their testimonial from it, or how much they got out of it, really encouraged me to take it a step further, because they just got so much out of it. And these are people who'd never really used power tools before and never thought they could do anything like this. And then for them to take away from that these kind of skills and to start their own journey with construction, I found it incredibly empowering and encouraging. And yeah, I loved every part of it. And I thought, well, maybe this is actually something more people would love to do, and something that could really help people, I didn't really feel like I was having a net positive impact on the world, basically. And I thought, combined with my need for housing and then my want to live a more sustainable life, I thought there was kind of an overlap of these 3 things. which is how I found myself doing it really. And lucky I was in a privileged enough position to be able to save money and then risk that money essentially on building my own house. Because basically I had my deposit together for a house, and I was talking to banks, and I thought maybe I'll just do something mental and hopefully it doesn't blow up in my face. But if it does, I'm in a privileged enough position that I should be able to recover. I have no dependents or anything like that. So I rolled the dice on that. Thankfully, it's worked out really well for me.
And do you live off grid then, or did you have to set up everything like the water supply and electricity?
I'm semi off grid, so my electricity is off grid. I've got a huge solar system, but obviously there's a good couple of months of the year where you can't be off grid for electricity, or at least not by using solar in Ireland, because that big thing in the sky is missing for most of the winter, unfortunately. So yeah, you have to have a backup generator. So the grid is actually the cheapest and kind of cleanest energy you can get as a backup generator, unless you can get some kind of wind going or anything like that. And then in terms of water, I didn't bother going off grid with water because water's so plentiful in Ireland that I didn't really factor it in as like something that's going to be a scarcity. Like, it's very easy to get access to good, clean drinking water in Ireland. So I didn't really bother with that, and that's kind of worked out quite well for me.
Paul, can you describe your tiny house to us? So I've seen the visuals from the outside, but what is it like inside? Bring us inside. Yeah,
so I'll tell you, I'll try and walk you through it as if you're walking in the front door. And just to give you a bit of context, in terms of size, it's about 14 square meters, including the loft. So it's 6 meters long and it's 2.5 meters wide and about 4 meters tall. So that's tiny, basically, is what that means, is what the quick maths will tell you. So when you come in the front door, right in front of you is my staircase. So my staircase is kind of the feature of the house, really. It's also cabinetry. It also works as a standing desk. All this. The stair treads and steps basically are double height and double depth, and that means you can sit on them and use them as furniture. It's like you're taking 2 steps at a time every time.
Oh, wow.
And it also works as a standing desk for me, which is really useful. That's one of the main things about building small spaces, is that you do have to design a lot of functions into single objects. Multiplicity of function is key. Then on my right, as I walk in the door, I've got a fold down desk. So that's where I work from home sometimes, or sometimes I eat meals at that. So that folds down then, which gives me a little bit more space if I want to do yoga at home or whatever. Then I've got a couch, which was originally meant to be a couch/guest bed, but I haven't got around to building that yet. Then on my left would be my kitchen, which is a long counter unit, and it's a very basic kitchen, but I've got a gas hob, I've got an induction hob for when the sun is shining in the summer and I want to use the solar, and my sink, and then I've got a huge pull-out pantry, which is hidden behind a massive fridge and freezer that everybody slags me about because it looks too big for my house, but I really like my food, so they're both always really full. And then I've got kind of like a little small laundry section, and then quite a small bathroom and shower. So the bathroom and shower is only about 1 meter deep, and then upstairs is a loft. So there's a loft that goes over the kitchen and the shower basically, and that's where I've got a double bed to sleep, which is loads of room. I love it.
I have to ask about the size, because I was trying to think about myself and I was trying to imagine myself in a tiny home, and I was like, could I do it? And my issue, probably like most people, is having too much stuff. How did you manage going from probably an apartment or house in Dublin where you probably had ample space and rooms, to going into the tiny home and suddenly having to really like make less?
Yeah, well, I mean, I came from a house share in Portobello, so I didn't really have ample space in rooms, which was a great way to downsize, like I was living in shared accommodation with a lot of other people. I was lucky enough to do that. But I had to get rid of a bunch of my stuff, and it was a bit of a Marie Kondo situation. Like, it was very liberating. It felt great, like I laid all my clothes out in my bed and started ordering them in which are my favorites, and then just got rid of the top 2/3 of that. And then I ended up doing a bit of a fire sale at the side of the street and invited all my mates and said, just buy all my clothes, because it was quite a nice way to get rid of my stuff. And then you see one of your mates wearing a pair of your trainers or one of your shirts, and you think, oh yeah, I used to own that. To be honest, it's been one of the unexpected bonuses of it. Like, I can do a lap of IKEA without filling my arms full of cool stuff that I don't need, because I just simply don't have the space for it, But it's quite a liberating thing to do, and it's quite... like, it does change your relationship towards consumerism a little bit, because you simply don't have the space. And then once you kind of downsize your life into a much smaller thing, you start to appreciate what actually you need a lot more. Quality over quantity becomes more like how you live, How
do you find it now, the construction? Like, did it take you long? Was it just from building your own one, or are you kind of constantly learning and evolving?
Like, I learned more in the 4 months building that house than I learned in the 29 years running up to it, Throwing yourself in the deep end is one thing, but this was a whole other level, Like, I only built the shell in about 4 months, and then I moved into it and lived in it for the preceding 4 years or so. Then I started to really refine my skills. So like the rough construction, that's so straightforward for a tiny house. It's so simple that's really favorable for amateurs. The interior fit out is extremely complex, and it's all very bespoke stuff. And that's where you get into really skilled work. So that took a lot more learning and a lot more refining. But I was lucky that I had the freedom after building the house, that I was quite financially independent, that I could really spend my time refining my skills and working on other projects.
That must be like incredibly rewarding every time you step inside your house to know that you made it. And it's like, as you said, you took that leap of faith and it paid off.
It kind of wears off pretty quick, to be honest. I mean, it's just my house. It's what I live in. I'm really grateful for it, and I love it. It's more so other people that come and see it and they go, wow, this is nuts. You built this. That's absolutely mad. Especially people who knew me before I built it, because if you know me after I built it, then you just know me as the tiny house guy. But if you knew me before I built it, it's like Paul built his own house. Like, that's absolutely outrageous.
Incredible. And what do you see for the future of Small Change?
For the future of Small Change, I'm really excited to just teach more people how to get on the tools, really. So we started running these courses at scale last year. We've got a huge amount of signups for this year, struggling to find enough time to fit everybody in. And it's been an amazing part of this whole journey for me, like seeing people that are quite intimidated or scared of power tools, have never used them, and seeing them go from that first like swing of a hammer to then using an electric saw, and the complete change they have from quite kind of fear and apprehension to total empowerment it's just amazing. It's so enjoyable to see. And then to kind of help those people then beyond that, we're going to have a level 2 course, and we're doing coaching as well to kind of help people that really want to follow through and build their own homes. And I'm just really excited to try to help more people to do what I've done.
For this episode, we took to the streets to see what the public think. Have you ever heard of the tiny homes concept in Ireland?
Yeah, I think I have.
Teeny tiny.
Yeah.
Do you ever think you could like live in a tiny home?
Maybe for a little bit, yeah.
I know I couldn't, because I have too much possessions and I feel like I'm a hoarder. So for me, it'd probably be hard work. But
Yeah,
do you think
probably.
you'd find it okay?
Maybe for like a couple of years, just to start off, yeah.
Do you ever think you could like live in a tiny home?
I live in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh wow!
So
you know exactly what it's like.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call it tiny. It fulfills everything I needed to fulfill. Yeah.
Do you think maybe we become too dependent on having like big homes and loads of rooms?
Oh, we'd be into more than a fox pop with that question. Yes.
Do you think you could live in a tiny home?
I could not now because I live in a bit of a bigger home, but I suppose if you had to figure it out, I think I could actually. Yeah.
Do you think you could live in a tiny home?
I think so. I think at this stage in my life, I don't need a lot of space, so yeah, it could suit me well.
Do you think you could live in a tiny home?
I'm a bit too tall, I think.
So if perhaps a tiny home isn't for you, maybe you could learn to declutter your current home. So let's see what Aidan has to say. Aidan, I've been so excited to talk to you because decluttering, trying to be more sustainable at home, and KonMari expert. Firstly, tell us what's a KonMari expert.
Yeah, so the KonMari method was created by Marie Kondo, the Japanese tidying guru that a lot of people know from her books and from Netflix and stuff as well. So yeah, the KonMari method and being a consultant, so I've trained kind of in her method. There's about 600 of us worldwide. Oh, wow. There's only about 10 men, so we're very unique in that way. But it's all about living with less. Now, it's not about minimalism per se, but it's about consciously choosing what to keep in your life of your possessions, because we buy so much, we accumulate so much with gifts or whatever, and it gives you a chance to pause and actually kind of curate your possessions and go through them and decide, actually, do I really need these? Do I want it? Do I love it? As she says, does it spark joy? And once you do that and get rid of the things you don't need, life just becomes kind of easier and simpler.
I do have to say, it's probably more though since I've hit my 30s that I enjoy a declutter, whereas definitely when I was a child, a teenager and in my 20s, it was just more. So for you, was it something like that, or how did you kind of get into the area of decluttering?
I was probably opposite to you then. Yeah, I was always kind of a bit of a, I won't say a tidy freak, but probably, yeah. I think my bedroom was always this kind of barometer of my life or something. So if my bedroom was messy, I knew my life was a bit too messy, burning the candle at both ends or something, you know. So I knew that like if I tidy my room, I could relax. I've always kind of felt I can relax more. You know, when you go to a hotel or something, you only bring the minimal things you need with you, and that just creates some calm, you know, because everything has a place, you're not looking at clutter, and just kind of daily life then becomes easier. So for me, I think it was always something I enjoyed, but it wasn't until a few years ago that I knew that it could potentially become a business, you know. I'd never kind of thought of it like that, but then I found Marie's book and her website, and then I was like on her website one day in a job I didn't really like. It didn't spark joy for me. I was like, oh my God, I can train to be a consultant, you know, and did it, and then was like, wow, I can get paid to do this and I love it, you know. So I'm going to go away tomorrow to work with one of my clients, and it literally doesn't feel like work. It's just really fulfilling to help people in such a quick way. And within minutes, even just by reaching out, people always say, I feel lighter, you know, and that's what the KonMari method, I think, is amazing in that it's it is about creating a more functional living space. But it's the psychological benefits that come from it as well. You know, it's the freeing of your mind. So if you can sit down in the evening and not be looking at clutter that you have to do and we procrastinate about it, once you've done it, it just frees up your kind of headspace to be kind of like, oh, now that I don't have to worry about doing that thing, I can ring a friend, I can go for a walk, I can just read a book or whatever. Do you know, it just, one of our quotes is that the person you are supposed to be only shows up after tidying, which is quite big, but kind of true as well, you know, because once you just get rid of that extra stuff and boil it down to then you're like, well, who am I and what sparks joy in my life and what do I want to do?
Yeah, it's funny when you say about sparking joy, because I think sometimes we have possessions in our home that maybe have maybe bad memories or like emotional memories that maybe are almost in the atmosphere when you leave them there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and they're the ones that people find the hardest. And that's why in the method that we leave them to last. So the KonMari method is all about tidying by category, not location. And that's why people do the messy drawer or they do the wardrobe or the spare room. And then everybody has one. And then it rebounds again, it comes back. So what we need to do by category, because then if you do it by category, like with a family, they'll realise, God, we've got 8 pairs of swimming goggles and there's only 4 of us, do you know? So when you do it that way, so that's why we start with clothes, which are easier. Clothes, books, paper, miscellaneous items, and then at the very end, it's sentimental items. And anything can be sentimental. So when I'm working with a client, it could be a piece of clothing, a book, it could be a piece of paper, it could be an armchair, or it could be like a key ring, do you know? And you just put them all to one side, create a box. And when you get to them at the end, then it's much easier to kind of go through them. And then with those sentimental items, you know, the ones that kind of, as you're saying, might have a negative kind of connotation to them, maybe by the process of it, you'll be kind of ready to let go of that stuff without kind of shame or guilt or anything like that. And then with the ones you actually keep, especially sentimental items, it's all about then keeping them in your life so you can see them. Do you know, because so many people have, and in Home Rescue, the TV show, we always get it, you know, there's Granny's crockery in the attic wrapped up in newspapers from 1987, but yet it's really important to them, do you know? So it's like, let's get that out. You mightn't want to use it every day or put it in the dishwasher, but at least let's put it in a ward or a cupboard with glass so you can see it. And even if it's a dress or a shirt that doesn't fit you but reminds you of something, hang it in the wardrobe and it'll just make you smile when you open the wardrobe. Do you know?
Yeah, that's really lovely, because I think I find as well over the years, sometimes, you know, if you get like a nice bag of someone, you kind of like don't use it because you're like, oh, that's a good bag.
I know.
And then it's kind of like,
I think it's such an Irish thing, isn't it? I do want to do some sort of, or somebody should do a thesis on this, because I talk to consultants around the world, and I don't think we seem to have, you know, that good room, the parlour. Do you know, I think back to my mum's house that she grew up in, and there was like 7 of them, and yet there was the good small parlour that they used when the priest came or at Christmas. Do you know? And there's the crockery, and we're still guilty of it in my house. Like there's the special crockery that comes out for Christmas and Easter or whatever. But you know, if somebody keeps Granny's crockery and then they give it to me and I give it to my child, it's like 60 years of not being used. It's like if your grandfather gave you a basketball, you'd bounce it, you know? So like, just use it.
Absolutely. It's funny because I smashed a sugar bowl at home that in my granny's house that belonged to like the great grandaunt, and it was like in the family for years. But I was so scared I hid it, and then they heard it. But what I was doing at the time was making tea for for my granny and my uncle. Yeah. So often to this day they'll bring it up and they'll laugh about it. Like, do you remember the time you broke that lovely sugar bowl? And but they actually weren't mad because I was doing a good deed for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was broke. It was like I broke it while it was actually in use.
Yeah.
So.
And we do keep so many things out of guilt as well. People keep so many like wedding gifts that they don't like. Like there's a young couple that I know in Nace, and they've like a press in their kitchen full of #ugly wedding gifts that they don't like, and I'm like, guys, just donate them now.
One man's trash is another man's
exactly.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, do you know, because like you're keeping them out of guilt, and the people will probably never remember that you don't use the frame. Just get rid of it now, because a present or a gift or even a card, the purpose is kind of to show love and appreciation. So its job is kind of done in the moment that it's given and received. After that, so like if I get something for Christmas and I don't love it, I'll just bring it to the charity shop a week later, you know. But that doesn't mean I'm disrespecting the person who gave it to me. I'm just like, I love that they thought of me, but I don't need this in my life. I have a better one or a different one, or I just, I don't like it, and just let it go. Because, just let go of that guilt, because that's why we accumulate so much stuff.
So is regifting okay?
Yeah, absolutely. But you need to get rid of it quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, get rid of it quickly. Like when you fill bags for donation, get rid of them quickly. Like that day, the next day. Don't leave them in the hall, put them in the car and get rid of them as soon as you can.
Okay, interesting. So if I was to, would say if you're coming to my house tomorrow to work with me and to help me declutter, how does that day unfold, or how does it work?
Yeah, so depending on what you need, ideally what we'd do is a tidying festival, we call it, where you literally go through everything in your home by category. So we'd start with clothes. If we're doing that, that's what I prefer to do. The other way is to do more of a quick fix on problem areas. So if you're like, I just need the spare room tidied because I've got aunts and uncles coming at the weekend or for a confirmation or whatever it is. But if it's a full tidying festival, we'll start with clothes. First, before I get to your house, I'll have sent you like an ideal kind of lifestyle home document. And it's all about kind of visualizing how you want to feel in your space. And it's about how you feel. Because that's like we do it to get tidier, but it's because we want to feel better at home. We want to feel contentment and peace. So it's about visualizing, I want like a yellow chair in the corner with a table so I can drink tea and read a book or whatever it is, or all about what you want to feel. So then we'll start with clothes, and we'll literally take every single piece of clothing out of your wardrobe and pile it on your bed or spare bed or the floor. And that pile is part of the process, and we do that in each category because you want that kind of shock value in a way, because when you do that, people realise, oh my God, I've got so much clothes. I like too much clothes, and a lot of it you probably don't wear. Sometimes we don't wear it because we don't like it, or we don't wear it because we didn't realise we had it at the back of the wardrobe, but we do like it. So literally then I'll be there, we'll be looking at the pile, and I'll then have boxes or bags for keep, donate, recycle, or fabric recycle. And then your job then is just to literally pick up each item and hold it and decide, do I keep it or not? And that's it. And I just kind of guide the client through that process, especially when sometimes their body language will say yes and they won't know it, or their face will kind of go, I'm not sure. And their face is kind of saying, no, I don't like this item, And it's amazing how like 5 hours most people get through their clothes. It depends on how much somebody has. But first it's all about, we go through it, decide what to keep. So it's all positive. Look at the pile, take out what you want to keep. Then everything else is donated or recycled. And then we restore the kept items. And all of a sudden then the next morning, people will message me going, oh my God, it's so much easier to get dressed now. Because now you know where everything is. It's all categorized, and you know that everything in your wardrobe you like, or you need to keep it for work or whatever, and it all fits you.
I'm just like visualising that wardrobe that you put together.
Yeah.
Because it's stressful when you look into a messy wardrobe.
Yeah, it is. It's like kind of trying to choose anything. Like if I go into Arnott's or something to buy a black shirt, there's too much choice. Just let me go into a smaller shop and only have 5 kind of types of black shirts to choose from. So again, it's like, and actually one of the really good stats is we lose about 5,000 hours on average over a lifetime looking for items. So be that keys or wallet, paperwork, birth certs, whatever it is. So that's like 6.5 months of your life that we lose looking for stuff because we're not tidy or we've too much stuff. And like, just imagine what you could do with 6.5 months instead, So your life is just so much easier when, there's somewhere to put your keys in the evening when you come home and open the door. There's somewhere for your shopping bags to go, for your shoes to go. It's not having a perfect room or life. And Marie Kondo will say that herself when the third kid came along, she had to kind of lessen the perfectionism that she had. I always kind of describe it as the difference between, a cluttered home, you can't really get tidied quickly if there's somebody coming over tonight. Whereas an untidy home, which is a normal lived-in home, but if everything has a place, within 20 minutes and 30 minutes, you can put everything away, and that's kind of what's different. And
before we get on to kind of tips that maybe people can start bringing into their life right now and into their everyday, I want to touch a bit on your TV work. So you've been on the Big Home Rescue.
Home Rescue, The Big Fix, on
and
RTÉ.
It's like such an emotional show, and the way communities rally together. But for maybe people who haven't watched it or aren't as familiar with it, will you just give a quick description of it? Yeah,
so we're currently recording season 8, so it's going that long. It's my 3rd season with it, and Dee Coleman is the new designer who joined a few seasons ago, and Pete the Builder, that everybody will know as well. So we go around the country and we rescue people's homes, basically. So the 3 of us. So my job is to declutter, to help the homeowners declutter, to kind of create the space in the home for Dee and Pete to do their magic. So Dee will design whatever they need. We don't have the budget or the time to knock walls usually, maybe an internal wall a little bit. So it's all about the functionality of the space. And Dee and Pete, they're both amazing at kind of chatting to the family and figuring out, okay, well, you've got 6 kids and one of them plays hurling. So where does the hurling in helmets lived, or, it might be a couple, but one of them cooks and she's got 50 spices. These are all real examples.
Yeah.
So we need somewhere for 50 spices in the kitchen, So it's not about making like some sort of Miami style house, but it's about function. And then D is all about function and then making it gorgeous as well. It's like Scandinavian design. They seem to do it automatically, even in the airport in Scandinavia. There's a bin, but it's also beautiful. Yeah. So I think we're starting here to kind of get that idea that a footpath can be functional and pretty at the same time with planting or whatever, So yeah, home rescue is gorgeous. It's such a team effort. It's kind of like a metal kind of atmosphere in it because everybody is just there to help the family. And usually the family, something has happened, like all of us, there's usually maybe some sort of emotional something in the past or trauma that has happened that's triggered something. Most of the people we work with, and I like to think that everybody has a tidy person inside screaming to get out. So often it's kind of just getting the house back to how it used to be, but even better. So yeah, it's amazing for the homeowners because they literally get a new home in a way and a new headspace as well.
And it just shows that, as you said earlier, like you don't need a bigger house. Like it's literally the house that they've lived in, some of them like most of their lives.
Exactly, yeah. And as Dee kind of says in a nice way, sometimes she's like, if all we did was Aidan's job, if all we did was declutter, we would change their lives, because most of the time it's just people have too much stuff. And people think, I need more storage. People will buy a shed, they'll fill that shed and they'll buy another shed. I've seen that so many times. You're like, how many sheds do you need in your garden, And then you've got a gorgeous south-facing garden and the sun's not getting into it, So if all we did was declutter, we would help them. Sometimes they might need a bit more storage, like the bedroom has like, the original kind of wardrobes, and nowadays we're better at design, so we put in like hanging space and maybe drawers underneath. So that's my advice, I think, for anybody, lucky enough to be building or refurbing or something at home. Anything below the waist in a kitchen or in a bedroom, I think should be drawers. Drawers for clothes, drawers for saucepans and everything else, because those big kind of cube kind of presses are just really annoying,
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, aren't they? So the other option is, in a bedroom or something, get like a basket or something so you can put like 10 jumpers in and pull it in and out kind of easier,
Do you find maybe, is there a change in our attitude as well because of social media? Because I follow people on Instagram and I'm like, how is their house so, like, where is everything?
Yeah.
Is there this pressure maybe because everyone wants to have the kind of Instagram?
Probably, yeah. I think it's probably all behind the camera.
Oh.
In those pictures.
Okay.
Yeah, like no, I don't, like Marie Kondo doesn't even live like that in real life. I think like, and I don't kind of do those before and after pictures or put up like, because nobody's life is that perfect, and I just kind of think it's too high a pressure to aim for. And definitely I think with social media, with like people looking amazing, their houses looking amazing, personal trainers or whatever, like it's not real. We have to remind ourselves of that. And like before we get there, it's about the functionality. We have to reduce. There's no point in making a gorgeous pantry, but behind the camera, there's like 100,000 toys for the kids, and that's another thing with kids. Like we go to so much toys in people's homes, and because kids get so much for birthday presents and stuff. But now research is showing us that actually the less toys kids have, the longer they'll play with them and they'll use their imagination more. So if you put kids in a room with 30 toys or 300, with too many toys, they'll actually stop playing. It's too overwhelming. It's like us trying to pick clothes out of a wardrobe if there's too much.
So for maybe tips for people who are just thinking, right, I need to start today. Like, where is the best place to start? Is it the wardrobe?
Yeah, like if you have time and headspace, then the wardrobe would be it. But allow, a good half day, like minimum kind of 3 hours if you really want to start with clothes. If that's kind of too overwhelming, just start with jumpers or trousers. Just bring it, pile your jumpers or pile your trousers. If that's too overwhelming, just start with the messy drawers. Take out the drawer, put it on the kitchen table. But then before you start, get your system in place. And that's what makes it so much easier, and why working with somebody like myself makes it easier, because we just have the system. So before you start going through the clothes or the messy drawer, all you need is cardboard boxes, free ones from the supermarket if you want. And then just label them or whatever, have keep, recycle, donate, and a waste one. And then just sit down and look at the pile of stuff and change your frame of mind to be like, not that I have to get rid of half of this, I want to find what I love in this. And then take everything out, pencil, the jeans, whatever it is, put the ones in the keep, everything else. Then if you don't want it, decide if it's good enough to donate, if not, recycle it. And then after you've done that, put the stuff for recycle or donate into your car so it's ready to go, and then put away the keep stuff. And then you'll realise that drawer all of a sudden is only like 20% full instead of 120% full. Do you know, then you can find things in the drawer, and all of a sudden once you've done your jumpers or your trousers, you're like, oh, you know, there's 3 or 4 trousers there I didn't need. And you always, people will say, oh, I did my clothes recently. I'm like, let's just kind of go through them again, do you know? and by taking stuff out of the wardrobe, and recently I did my mum's hot press, and I'd kind of done it when I moved home, because I couldn't cope with trying to find a fitted sheet in there with the towels and everything. And I think she got rid of like, which sounds wrong, but it was 17 bags from the hot press. You know, so start small, and if that's even overwhelming, just get an empty cardboard box, put it near one of your doors, front door, back door, and just as you're walking around the house this week, be it an ornament, a book, a piece of clothing, if you take out something to wear and you don't put it on, ask yourself why you're keeping it, do you know? And then just throw it into that box, and when the box is full, get rid of it.
Oh, there'll be a cardboard box, I'll tell you, outside my back door this evening.
Yeah.
Aidan, it's absolutely fascinating. I think there's loads of great tips just to help us all declutter our houses and declutter our minds. So that's it for this week's episode of Re-Energize. A huge thanks to our guests. Don't forget to subscribe and spread the word about the show. Send this episode to that one friend who has never thrown anything out in their life. We'll see you soon for the next episode.
This podcast was produced and recorded by the Podcast Studios for ESB. Production and editing by Connor Reid. Project management by Katie Flannery. Original music by Dan Wilcox. Video editing by Judy Hassett. Graphics and design by Matt Mahon.